War. War never changes, and neither does bad reality TV. But what if, for the first time, a reality show actually changed the game? Because on January 15, 2026, Amazon officially greenlit Fallout Shelter, a 10-episode competition series set inside Vault-Tec's bomb-proof vaults. Produced by Studio Lambert, the same team behind the Traitors and Squid Game, the challenge, and everybody is talking about it. But nobody is asking the right question. The question isn't what the show is. The question is, how does it actually work? And I think I figured it out. I'm Clean Sanchez, and we're about to break everything down for you. If you like what you see, leave a like and subscribe, and check out the podcast. Episode 2 is coming out this week. So if you're new here, I'm a massive Fallout fan and the reality TV obsessive. So when this announcement dropped, I basically lost my mind because this show exists at the exact crossover of the two things that I love. And while everyone else has just reacted to the news, I want to go deeper. So we're going to break down my full theory on the format of Fallout Shelters, and we're talking about the GOAT test, the special system, the vault jobs, the structure, and the one question nobody can answer yet. How does someone actually get eliminated? I have a theory on that too. And honestly, it might be the most Fallout thing this show could do. So let's get into it. Before I get into my theories, let me lay out everything that's actually been confirmed because there's more than people realize. The show is actually called Fallout Shelter. It's a 10-episode unscripted competition series exclusively on Prime Video. It's produced by Studio Lambert, and they're also in co-production with Kilter Films, which is Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy's company, the same people behind the scripted Fallout series. And Bethesda's own Todd Howard is an executive producer. Now, this last one matters because Todd Howard doesn't just slap his name on things. When the guy who has guarded this franchise for 30 years signs on as an executive producer, that tells you Bethesda has a real creative hand in how this is going to be built. Now, here's what the official casting description actually says, and I want to read this carefully because every word is doing work. The Dwellers live together in a top secret vault where they will compete in a series of games. The tests, the 7 core attributes from the Fallout world: strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck. Special. The series will not only test Dwellers' core attributes, but also their loyalty and alliances. And Amazon's own official description says contestants face escalating challenges, strategic dilemmas, and moral crossroads. Plus, and this is the line that nobody is talking about, Studio Lambert themselves described the show as blending large scale challenges with deeply social, psychological, and narrative driven gameplay, staying true to the tone, world building, and choice driven ethos that have defined Fallout for over 25 years. Deeply social, psychological, narrative driven. That is not the language of an obstacle course show. That is the language of the traders. And the casting application itself, it asks applicants which faction they identify with: NCR, Minutemen, Enclave, and so on. It asks for examples of times they displayed each special attribute, and it literally asks, how lucky do you think you are? That is not a questionnaire. This is a personality intake. Kind of familiar, right? So filming is confirmed for 3 weeks in June 2026 in the UK in what the casting call describes as multiple filming locations. So we know the bones. Now let me tell you what I think is underneath them. All right. So here's where my theories begin. And if you've played Fallout 3, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The very first thing you do in that game before you even leave the vault is sit down and take the GOAT, the Generalized Occupational Aptitude Test. It's this hilariously on brand Vault-Tec exam that looks like a total normal career aptitude test, but is clearly designed to sort people into the roles the vault needs filled. Now, we know the casting application already asked about special attributes. That's confirmed. But my theory goes a step further. And I think when contestants actually arrive on set in front of the cameras, they're going to take the GOAT again. Or at the very least, they choose where they belong based on their score, because the casting call is how you get selected. But the GOAT on camera is how your game begins. And that result determines their special stats for you, which determines their job in the vault, which determines their entire game. For the non Fallout fans watching, welcome. Stay with me, okay? Because this is about to make sense if it doesn't right now. Special is the character system that runs under every Fallout game. 7 stats, every letter stands for something. SPECIAL. And in the lore, these stats determine what kind of person you are and what role you play in society. That's how I think they translate to vault jobs on the show. So, strength. In the vault, strength players become security officers. They're the muscle, they enforce the overseer's orders. They control who goes where and who gets what. On the reality show, that's enormous power, but it also is a target on your back because the minute the overseer changes, the security team's loyalty gets questioned. Perception. Perception players become surveillance and intelligence. Their job is to watch, notice patterns, report back, feed information to whoever is in charge. And in the Fallout lore, perception characters are the ones who see things coming before anyone else. On this show, that's basically a built in spiral. And knowing Studio Lambert, that is not an accident. Endurance. This is the one I'm most excited about. Endurance players become reactor and hazmat technicians. They keep the lights on, they maintain the power, the water, the air filtration, which means if this player gets eliminated, exiled, or fails at their job, the vault itself starts to break down. Lights flicker, temperature drops, resources run out. This is where my power outage theory comes in, and I'll get back to that in a minute. But just remember, the endurance player might be the most important person in the game. Now we're moving on to agility. Agility players become couriers and supply runners. Their job is distribution, food, water, rataway, supplies. They decide who gets resources and when. That's what makes them the social kingmaker. They don't hold power directly, but everyone needs them, which means everyone is going to be nice to the agility player until they're not. Intelligence. Now, the intelligence players are super interesting because these guys, I assume, will become scientists, engineers, and medics, the problem solvers. When something goes wrong in the vault, everyone turns to the intelligence player. And here's the interesting flip side: eliminating the smartest person in the room feels good in the moment until something breaks and nobody knows how to fix it. Charisma. Everybody likes a little charisma, right? And charisma players are overseer candidates and diplomats. They're the talkers, the alliance builders, the ones working every room simultaneously. And in Fallout lore, charisma is what separates leaders from followers. And on this show, high charisma players are the biggest long term threats, and everyone knows it. And how could we forget luck? Luck players get the wild card role. No assigned job, no defined responsibility. Instead, they draw random perks, random punishment, random advantages throughout the game. And sometimes luck gives you something incredible. Sometimes it destroys your entire week. And that's the most Fallout thing I can imagine putting on the reality show. So picture this: 30 people. They're calling them dwellers, by the way. That's the official term. Enter the vault, they take the goat, they get their stats, they get their jobs, and now the vault is their world. Not a competition set, not an obstacle course, a functioning ecosystem where everyone has a role and everyone depends on each other. That's the key shift that separates this show from everything else. Because remember what Studio Lambert said, and this is a quote: deeply social, psychological, and narrative given gameplay. This isn't Squid Game with a Vault-Tec paint job, and here's why I believe that. Studio Lambert doesn't just build competition shows, they build social systems. The Traitors works because information is uneven, because paranoia spreads, because you can never be sure who's really on your side. And Fallout works for the exact same reason. Vaults in the lore weren't just shelters, they were experiments, and Vault-Tec designed them to observe human behavior under controlled and sometimes deliberately cruel conditions. And now you've got Kilter Films in the room: Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy, the people who built the scripted show. One of the greatest adaptations of all time, if you ask me. So these two understand the tone and the world that we all need for this. And if they have any creative influence here, and as executive producers they do, then this show isn't going to feel cheap. This becomes Survivor, Big Brother, The Traitors, and a role playing game all fused together. Now, here's the part of my theory that I think makes this format truly click because if the special system truly determines your job, I think it also determines the type of competition you're built for. Every round, the challenge isn't random and it's designed around one of the seven special stats. And that means some players are going to thrive and some players are going to suffer. Let me walk you through what I think each one looks like. So, strength, the power games. Strength challenges are pure physical domination. We're talking vault themed labor, hauling supply crates across the facility, cranking manual power generators, holding structural supports in place, or a tug of war over limited resources like water rations. And here's the twist that makes it Fallout instead of just gym challenge. The losing side doesn't just lose points, the vault loses something. A wall panel comes loose, a storage room floods, supplies get damaged. Now there are real stakes attached to a physical competition, and suddenly the strongest players aren't just respected, they're necessary. Now, perception. I'm going to call this the surveillance round. And perception challenges are all about information. Imagine contestants being shown footage of what happened in the vault overnight, conversations, movements, exchanges, and then being quizzed on the details. Who talked to who was moved, what was moved, where was someone standing. The player who notices the most wins. But the deeper game, perception challenges reveal how much people are paying attention to each other. And paranoia goes through the roof because suddenly everyone in the vault knows. They know that someone is always watching. Kind of like Big Brother, right? But someone is always taking notes, and that's not a competition. That's a psychological weapon. Now, endurance is an easy one to figure out. Think of the last one standing, and they are exactly what they sound like, and they're brutal by design. Hold a position, stay in the cold section of the vault, keep your hand on the reactor panel, stand in the containment chamber the longest. Last person standing wins, but what I love about tying this to the endurance role specifically is the narrative it creates. The person whose job is to keep the vault running is also the person who has to prove they can take more punishment than anyone else. That's endurance. And if the endurance player wins their own challenge, they're untouchable that round. And if they lose, the vault starts whispering about whether they can really handle what the reactor demands. Now, agility, we're going to call this the courier run. New Vegas fans, anyone? Not me. Agility challenges are speed and dexterity under pressure. Picture a timed obstacle course through the vault's maintenance tunnels. Players have to collect supply packages from different parts of the facility and deliver them to the central point before time runs out. First one back with everything wins. But here's what makes this interesting from a game perspective. The agility player controls supply distribution all week. Win this challenge and you now control who gets extra rations. That's just not a physical competition, that's a power auction disguised as an obstacle course. Everyone is watching who the agility winner feeds and who they starve. Now, intelligence is going to be cool. We're going to call this one the Vault Crisis. Now, the intelligence challenges are problem solving under time pressure. The vault has a problem. Maybe the water recycler has a critical error. Maybe the air filtration readings are off and someone has to diagnose why. Maybe a coded Vault-Tec transmission comes in and only one person can decrypt it. Players can work individually or in small teams to solve the problem first. And the Fallout flavor here is perfect because these challenges would look exactly like something out of the games. Terminal hacking, blueprint analysis, resource calculation. The player who solves the crisis first wins the round. But the real drama? What happens when the smartest person in the vault has been exiled the week before and nobody can solve the problem? That's collective consequences and it's devastating. Now we're moving on to charisma. And charisma challenges are pure social manipulation. And this one might be the most unique competition format on any reality TV show ever. Players have to give a speech to the vault, lobby for support, make promises, build a coalition, and then the vault votes. Not for who to exile, but for who they trust most in the crisis. And the winner of the charisma challenge sets a social immunity of sorts. And that protection coming from the group rather than from winning a physical challenge, that completely changes the social calculus. Because suddenly being liked isn't just a survival strategy, it's a competition. And then there's luck. The luck challenge has no skill component. Contestants pull from a randomized system, Pip-Boy terminals, vault capsules, some kind of themed lottery mechanic, and whatever comes out, comes out. You might get a massive advantage. You might get a punishment that follows you for the next 3 days. You might get nothing at all. And the genius of this is that it affects everyone, not just luck players. Because in any given round, a luck draw could completely flip the power structure. Someone who was completely safe suddenly isn't. Someone who was about to be exiled just bought themselves another week. That's the Fallout experience distilled into a single game mechanic. Nothing is guaranteed, not even the rules. Now, you're probably wondering about the Overseer. Every few days, there's a competition, and the winner becomes the Overseer. Think head of household from Big Brother, but with actual in world power. As Overseer, you get private quarters, control over resource distribution, protection from elimination that round, and the ability to reassign jobs. And the last one is massive because stripping someone of their role or handling a critical job to someone who can't handle it is a power move with real consequences. Imagine the overseer reassigning the endurance player away from the reactor, and suddenly the vault's power becomes unstable. That's just not strategy, that's creating chaos on purpose, which is, by the way, extremely Fallout. Okay, and here's where my theory gets a little crazy. I think at some point, maybe once per episode, maybe tied to events in the game, the vault loses power. Not a producer stunt, a consequence. If the endurance player gets eliminated, if the overseer makes a bad resource call, if the vault has been running low on critical supply for too long, the lights go out. And when that happens, every alliance, every secret, every advantage somebody has been hoarding, it's all tested. And it creates these moments of real drama that no amount of challenge design can manufacture. That's Fallout. Things break, systems fail, and you find out who people really are when the world stops working. Now, the question everyone wants to answer, how does someone get eliminated? And I think this is where the show could do something nobody has done before. You don't get voted off, you don't get sent home, you get exiled to the surface. The overseer nominates 2 or 3 vault residents for exile. Then either the vault votes or the overseer decides alone. And the exiled player walks through the vault door out into the wasteland, gone. Think about what that framing does. In Big Brother, you get evicted. It's a little embarrassing. In Survivor, you get your torch snuffed. It's dramatic. But in this show, leaving the vault means something. The surface is dangerous. It's the unknown. It's the thing everyone agreed to leave behind. And being exiled isn't just losing a game, it's being cast out of civilization. And that's a completely different emotional register, and it fits the Fallout world perfectly. Now, here's the prediction that nobody else is making. What if the winner isn't individual? What if instead one person walking away with a prize, the vault either survives or it collapses? If the vault survives, everyone wins. If the vault collapses, nobody does. That one change could completely transfer player behavior because now betrayal has consequences for you too. Now, sabotage isn't clever, it's self destructive. And now keeping the group together actually matters. Modern reality TV almost never explores collective survival, and it's almost individual, always cutthroat, always zero sum. But Fallout at its core is about communities and what people will sacrifice to keep something alive. A show that actually captured that would be unlike anything we've ever seen. Now, look, we don't know exactly what the format is going to be. Amazon and Studio Lambert haven't released those details yet, but here's what I do know. The ingredients are all there. The GOAT test is already confirmed. Studio Lambert builds social systems, not competitions. Fallout Lore is basically a reality show format waiting to happen. And if they get this right, if they actually lean into the Vault ecosystem, the hidden roles, the collective stakes, this could be the most original reality competition in years. Or it could be a gimmick. But I'm betting on the Vault. Let me know in the comments, what special stat do you think you'd score highest in? And if you were a Vault resident, what job would you want? And if you want to see more breakdowns like this, subscribe because we're going to be following this show every step of the way once it comes out this fall. Remember, guys, war never changes, but maybe reality TV will finally change. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Peace out.